morning. Welcome to the ENO Business Success Podcast on April 8th, 2024. This is Phil Guinois with Micah Watkins and Jack Duchesne. And hey, guys, we just finished this last weekend an Achieving Business and Life Success inside of ENO's empowerment training. So why don't we talk about that, Jack? You led the course, so let's just start off on that for this episode.
That sounds like a good idea. Well, it was a level. No, is it a level one? Are we
Achieving Business and Life Success?
We're going to stick with that. Okay.
I think so.
All right, no level one. Achieving Business and Life Success. Well, I thought it was a great weekend as always. And as our guest mentioned a few minutes ago, I think probably the part I dig the most is the transformation that you see when people come into something like that together in the beginning, especially if they don't know each other. And if they do know anybody, they'll just lock right in with them. Like they'll sit right next to them and they leave with them and they sit on the breaks with them. And they don't know what to expect. So people are a little bit more shut down, or I don't think it's the word shut down, but
reserved. Yeah,
pretty much reserved. They don't know what's going on. And then you just slowly watch that switch. Like there's a moment on Saturday in the afternoon when they're dealing with a formula on how to get results, how to get 100% results. And they're dealing with a formula to figure out how that happens. And in that experience, it switches them almost to the point where you go back to that freedom you had when you were a child. You're just in the moment. You're just having a good time. You're not worried any longer. Like when they first came in, to imagine that they would be, not all of them. Some of them come in and they're pretty happy, but they're just jumpy people, happy and whoa, whoa, whoa. But for most of them, to imagine that by the next afternoon, they would be doing something like that, having so much fun, free, not reserved at all, just totally open, free, having a good time is amazing to happen in that short of a time span. Like from Friday evening to Saturday afternoon, that happens.
Absolutely. And then even take it a step further, and then by the time they're done on Sunday evening, the transformation from that Saturday afternoon to that Sunday evening, it's a completely different feeling, and you can see the freedom on their faces. Mm-hmm. I was just like, oh, and it's jovial, and I don't know, you can feel it. It's palpable.
Yes, absolutely.
So these were all business people that came through, or the spouse of one of the business people, or children of one of the business people.
Teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really, to kind of go with what you guys were saying, is it happened for all of them, right?
Yes.
They all found it, no matter what age they were, right?
Yes.
And we had a pretty young one in there.
Yeah.
And they all found that piece of childlike freedom. Mm-hmm. It literally just gave them the authority to be childlike again.
Yeah.
And there's an aliveness that they have walking out of that room when we finish on Sunday.
Yes.
That literally just carries forward into the rest of their life and their business. And Jack, you had a great conversation. I was a party to part of it with one of the people that completed this weekend about wanting her teenager child to go through. Yes. And a husband to go through, and other people. And she had a breakthrough this weekend in just how she dealt with something coming through this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. Now she actually registered all of them for level one, and she called me over. She goes, I'd like to just pay for all this together. Now I don't know if hubby's coming in, because gotta ask hubby. And I told her, just go ahead and do it. And if hubby doesn't want to come in, I'll refund that for you. The daughter more than likely being under 18 is going to be in, because then mommy's got some power. And she'll get her in there. And teenagers love it. They always do. It's outrageous. Then it was funny. This is why this work is so important. She's standing there and she's about ready to, you can see she's going to tear up here because she's going to tell me something. She's thanking me and she's going to tell me something. This is connected to her little 7-year-old daughter. And she's standing, before she says anything, she goes, I'm just holding this back because I'm not supposed to cry. And, just that, like that is it. It's in there. Like there's a belief. It's sitting in there. I'm not supposed to cry. And she tells me, well, it's my 7-year-old. I don't want to keep pushing my trauma onto her. I don't want her to have to grow up feeling the way I felt. And after this weekend, now I understand I don't have to do that. I don't have to figure out the way of how do I do that. Like I already know what's happening. Like I don't have to figure out how to do that. All I have to do is work on me. That's all I have to do. If I work on me, it's going to affect her. And she said, and it's already happening because yesterday when I went home, she did something that would normally trigger me. And instead of getting triggered, I went over and I gave her a hug and I had empathy for her. So it's a whole different, you're breaking a cycle that was going to lead her to the same traumas, to the same reality. Many people live the same reality as their parents. Many, many people. And it's not the first time that I've had somebody in that room with a belief like that. There was a gentleman, he was an engineer, I believe, worked for a big corporation, and he had that belief that you cannot cry. Even though there's tear ducts, even though it's all wired in there, you're not supposed to cry. And sometimes when people are doing work or emotional work, you can get a little bit emotional or whatever. And first of all, to have a program that you're not able to do something authentic is a little limiting because,
just a little.
Just a little. Like crying, if it's just coming out because that's the way it feels, well, that would be authentic. So why wouldn't I be able to allow that to happen? And I guess there's extremes of things. Yeah, but dude, you're crying all the time. Like, it could get extreme that way. Yet if it's just in the moment and it's the moment showing that that's a possibility. So yeah, he got, so I asked him and he told me that. And I go, where did that come from? And he goes, well, I'm in business. And, if I'm inside something like like a Tony Robbins event, I did a Tony Robbins event. I saw 3,000 people not just crying, wailing. They were wailing in an experience called the Dickens pattern. It was wild. And most of them were business people and CEOs. And so this guy's standing there with this belief that it's wrong to cry. And he goes, well, because in here, if I cry in here, and then I'm out doing my business, and then somebody in here found out or told someone I cried, well, then no one's going to do business with me. Like, man, that's what class taught you? Was this school that told you that? Who told you this? And he went into level 2.
And did he have a breakthrough?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He almost didn't. He was going, everyone's going through an experience. It was pretty and powerful. And he was almost out of it. And I just happened to remind him about his 2 little boys. That's all I said. What about the 2 boys? And then it happened. And then the authentic, he was able to just, and then he stayed in the work and started coaching and all that. And he found out that that was a huge limiting belief. And there's a massive amount of power to be authentic and vulnerable. And sometimes that's what it is,
Yeah. Those limiting beliefs, I mean, that's a...
Which was part of this weekend.
Yeah, it's a killer. I mean, how many people are living their lives with so many limiting beliefs and they're just holding themselves back? They're handcuffing themselves. Mm-hmm. Might as well just, hey, I'm going to strap myself to, think of yourself as a horse and you're going to put your own reins around the wood that you're going to lock yourself down to. That's what people are doing with those limiting beliefs. And how do you break free of that? How do you let go? And that's what happens, on those weekends, especially in achieving business and life success. I mean, that's where their power is. You become aware of it, right?
Yeah, and where is the limiting beliefs? They're programs. They're beliefs. They're inside a brain which operates exactly like a computer. Exactly like a computer. So I don't know if they can catch it yet. It takes a while down that path to get to that realization that my body and my brain are a tool for me to use. So when you include the brain, because for a long time, people, I know I'm not my body. I know I'm not my body. Well, that's great. Okay. Where's your brain? In my body. Okay. Where's your identity? It's in your brain. Where's all the memories? They're in the brain. Okay. So the brain is a computer. It holds your identity, all your memories. Your body gets you moving around and everything. You're not either one of those. I'm not sure what you are. Whatever word, they got words, right? Consciousness, awareness, soul, spirit, whatever word you want to go with. Yet you're not that. And when somebody can make that distinction, then we can really effectively deal with limiting beliefs because they're just a program. They're not. But yet when the person is the limiting belief, like we talked about, it's part of their identity, then it's almost like they're plugged in that Matrix movie. Like, well, they're plugged in. They don't even know this. They don't realize they're not the limiting belief. It's part of their identity, so they believe the limiting belief is part of them. If you can make the distinction, no, the limiting belief is in a computer, well, then I can do something way more effective and quicker to eliminate that belief, just like I could if a problem was happening in my computer. I would say, okay, I got to get somebody that can fix that, get in here, find the virus, find what's going on here, because that is not me, and it's slowing me down. It's really no different.
Well, and I think, Jack, when people come through the training and they're in that course, and how you know it's a limiting belief is how quickly it comes out of their mouth, right? The faster it comes out of the mouth, the more it's set in as a limiting belief. And then I think as they go through this weekend, and, we kind of witnessed with that one gal that was talking with you at the end, you could see there was a process going on before she actually would say anything.
Oh, yeah.
Which gave her the space. And we talk a lot about giving things space, right? So now she's got the space to process and question even what's coming out of her mouth and what's going on in her brain, right? And that's where the freedom starts to show up instead of that instantaneous response.
Yeah, which is powerful because well, that is a lot of power. Some people just aren't raised in that. There's power everywhere if you just look for it, but there's a lot of power in the individuals that have been programmed to respond and not react. And then I don't know if you know people that just react. I mean, they're fun. Everyone's fun. It's all fun. But, they just react like something said. They just, and it just goes like that. And then you get the people that, the trigger may happen. They felt the trigger. The brain is like, what? Yet they are, okay, well, why would you say that? Or what did you mean by that? Or let me clarify that. So they'll ask a question or something, even though maybe their brain's doing what the other brain's doing. They've just trained the machine. They just calmed it down so that it's so much more effective, way more effective.
One of the things that in the training that I'd done and that I still find myself saying occasionally is, something will happen and that trigger will go off and I'll wait for a moment. Oh, you know what? My FU meter just went off, right? It right there, but I'll actually be responsible for it.
Yes.
And say, this is actually what just went on in my brain. My FU meter just went off.
Yes.
And then I can do whatever I want with it after that.
Absolutely. That's why I was telling him, man, we're looking at our life, concepts, giving and taking, things like that in our lives, and what percentage are you giving or taking and things like that. And when I think about it, and if I said taking all the way down to a thought, like if I'm having a negative thought, a critical thought, a criticizing thought, a fear-based thought, whatever, I would just, okay, I'll lump it over there. It's force. It's not power. It's down a little bit lower. And then, okay, well, I've done the work for 20 years, 22 years, so that doesn't happen any longer. Yeah, it does. This computer up here has programs in it there was nothing happened ever in any of this work where anyone opened up my skull and pulled out pieces of my brain or did anything like that. So they're still there. It's a voice that is not me. I hear it. I used to just hear it and it was just reality. Now I hear it and I'm like, okay, because that's what you've thought your whole life. So I say Facebook is a good place for me to go to play with that. I'll be scrolling along and be like, what, that's idiot, and in here it's like that. What are you people doing? So it's still there. It never just left like, oh no, we're not here anymore. No, we're here. It's just, it's not me. So I don't actually react or get angry about it. I just hear the voice. Like, what's wrong with these people? What are you, a moron? Somebody gets up there, like we talked about a little bit on the weekend. Now, if I'm watching a thing in the Senate, I used to see those when I was a kid. The Senate's there. They're in suits. They're doing stuff. They're talking about stuff. Now I'm watching, and they're asking this Senate person who's a doctor or something or a scientist, and I don't know, they're having a conversation about this person's telling the entire Senate and the population men can have babies. And I was like, this is the Senate. Like, I remember watching this as a kid. They talked about stuff. What is going on? So then that's where it'll kick in. Like, what? How are we? What is going on here? Oh, and the person with the health person. I don't know, have you seen the health person?
Oh, yeah.
Dressed in the military thing, and it's and fine, you want to be that, that's fine, right? If you're qualified, who cares? Like, do what you're going to do. Yet the statement that came out of the mouth was that climate change is affecting the black community. That was coming out of the mouth of the person that is the health who? What's the title for that? Health administrator?
Yeah, something like that.
The health organization or something, the world.
No. This is part of the administration.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So when I heard that out of their mouth, that climate change is affecting the black community. So yeah, then this thing, which it was programmed to do stuff like, dude, this is this is idiot. What? So it will still do those things. It's just, I know it's not me doing it. That's wired in there. All the work I've done, it ain't stopped. It's like, oh no, that is Yet I'm not upset about it. Before I'd be upset, it'd be upsetting, really, that's happening. And now it's not upsetting, but yeah, that thing doesn't shut down. And then we talked about it. There were some programs that do actually disappear. Some don't, some do. There are some triggers from childhood trauma that may never go away. The trigger will trigger when it triggers. But the aware person, the enlightened person, the one who has the consciousness, will not react to the trigger.
Oh, yeah, it slows down for them, and they're able to, okay, hold on a second, let me process that, and it's just slowing things down, where you can just look at it. Now, there are other people out there be like, oh, well, why aren't you responding to me? Like, they're reacting to that. I know that I've had that. I'm slow to react, or sometimes slow to respond. There are times where, somebody will come at me and, you're like, oh, and I'm sitting there going, well, hold on a second. There is no need or rush for me to respond right away.
Oh, yes, there is, dude. And their computer.
Well, yeah, and
Now, look, here's what's happening in their computer when you're doing that, which you're not even doing on purpose. You've just trained your brain to go, I'm going to, well, if it's, I'm imagining you're talking about, because you said they're coming at me. So somebody's upset, we'll say.
Oh, yes, we'll say that.
So they're upset, and you're quietly listening. So you let the information enter the computer, right? You're like, okay. When they're done, their brain wants you to react. Now, when you don't react and you're sitting there, they don't know what you're thinking. And if you're not showing any signs of what you're thinking, if you're not doing any like facial expressions and you're just sort of sitting there, that brain's getting terrified. They don't know what's going on in there. They're not able to control or judge the situation because they would rather you say, I'm leaving, or F you, or whatever. That's fine because they can deal with that. They can, they can react to it. Yes, but not you sitting there. What? You won't say anything? You don't care?
Yeah.
They don't, because they don't know what's going on in there. So you become like a threat, like,
yeah, what are they conjuring up? Oh, what plot's going on up there?
Or you don't even care.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean.
You become distant and cold to it, right? But that's could be farthest from the truth.
And I would say
where you sit personality-wise, what you're doing fits where you sit.
Oh, absolutely.
Analytical.
Yeah.
And analytical people by nature don't like confrontation. So they sort of want to avoid that. Just like supporters don't like confrontation. They want to avoid that. So you're doing what you would do in that. So if you're there and the person coming at you, let's just imagine, I don't know, we'll just imagine they're a controller. And if they're a controller and you're sitting there in silence, oh yeah. And what is this really? Is it you? And Mike is sitting in silence, the controller's doing it? No, it's two brains.
It's just two brains.
Oh, it's two brains. Mm-hmm. That's it. Break it down, done, go home.
Yeah.
So Micah, what, business people, they're coming through these courses through ENO. What have you seen with the members and the business people coming out of, whether it's achieving business and life success or breakthrough? What shifts have you seen in those people, in their lives and their businesses as we're out there networking with them? Engagement
is probably the number one thing. I mean, there's just a different feeling, a different vibe coming from them, but they're like, oh no, hey, I want to get engaged. I want to interact. I found something here where, oh, well, we're all included. And then they're eager to have more open dialogue and discussion. And it just opens up from that, then it just opens up more possibilities. So, when we start talking about like the training that we've been doing for the mastermind groups and all that stuff, I've noticed a difference between those that have done the training, and I've noticed a difference between the ones that had not done the training, and I'm eager to have the conversations with them after they did the training and be like, all right, now, and how does that, now when all the information that you got on how to really dive into the masterminds and make those as effective as possible, now after the training, what's shown up for you? And a lot of them are like, oh yeah, they're finding solutions more effectively.
Absolutely.
With less resistance and less, like, I wouldn't say effort, but I would say like less time consuming wasted energy. Right? They're just, hey, look, I mean, they're not having to work as hard as they were struggling, like, to break things down so that they could see the impact in their business.
Well, there's an ease around all of it. And when there's an ease, there's typically velocity shows up inside of ease as well, right? Yeah. Things just move faster and easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, Use the analogy of riding a bike. I mean, how much inertia do you have to, put into it right from the get-go? I mean, if you just put a little bit, like, we've all ridden a bike. It's just, you're just going to fall over. You really have to get it going. Once you get it going, then it smooths out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think whether they realize it or not, one of the benefits that is happening, at least in the mastermind group, is the same thing when I was doing corporate trainings under the umbrella of every company has employees, and whatever you got, and we'd call it a default culture. So any networking group is a default culture. When I bought the Phoenix Metro Chamber, it was a default culture. It's whatever they got. Some of them are awesome, and they're very friendly and nice people, and they communicate well. Some of them were a little bit not like that. There's a couple people who are just like, whoa, what's that? And, clicks and different things like that going on. And that would be default in any company or networking group. Yet our job was to go into the company and actually put them all through, I was going to say level 1, but that achieving business and life success, we put the whole company through. And what it created was a winning culture. It created a culture where everybody was on the same page, where they could now communicate at a different level because they had been through experiences about, impeccability with their word and win-win and victim responsible. And they had an experience together where all of them went up consciously. And so when they're in the mastermind groups, they operate from that space as opposed to just a default. So if we didn't have any of this work and I had never done this work and we just created networking like a LaTip or whatever, that's what would be going on, which is fine. You get business, no problem.
Yep.
Yet it's not as effective. It's not as powerful as when they go through work like that and then they come together, because you'll notice they can handle constructive feedback with each other without getting into resentment. They're not cliquish. They've had powerful experiences together. They're bonded.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, before we move on to our guest. I witnessed that just this last week at one of our collaborative masterminds. There, and I don't know the exact situation, but two of the members had a breakdown. One of them providing a service or whatever, and there was a breakdown. And they literally, the member that was providing the service or was supposed to, whatever, actually addressed it in front of the entire group. And the other individual that was on the receiving end or didn't receive what they thought or should have received, it was one of the most powerful dialogues to actually witness in networking. And as a certified networker, typically those things would not be handled well in a public, quote, forum like that. And most of the time they would not even get handled.
Right.
They would just get avoided, ignored, pushed under the carpet. And then to watch the other 15, 14 members in that group be engaged, not in the conversation, but just be engaged in how that dialogue went and how it got cleaned up, and that there was no resentment. There was no animosity or frustration or anything. It was absolutely incredible to watch it. And it's because of the base that the groups have with the Achieving Business and Life Success training.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence. Yep. They're all operating at a higher level of emotional intelligence, and they can deal with that.
Yeah, because if you avoid it and they avoid it, the resentment builds. So they don't say anything, yet now the resentment. So if I have a resentment on any person, that means every interaction, thought, anything about that person is going to go through that filter of resentment first, and it's going to alter my perception. So it's going to get worse. So them having the tools to resolve that and deal with it in a higher vibration, a higher emotional intelligence is priceless. There's no price to it. All right. We're 30 minutes and 8, 9, 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 12. And we're going to bring in our guest. What do you think, Phil?
I think we should. Micah, do you have any questions? Let's bring in the guest.
Let's bring
all
her
I got to
in.
do is push a button. Is the guest ready?
All right, Regan, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Hello.
Yeah. So we got Regan Simpson here with us, and she's a ENO member. And we just want, we're excited to have you on the podcast today. And so why don't you share a little, just let the listeners know who you are, what's your business, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I am Regan Simpson with Evolve Bank and Trust, a mortgage professional for the last 30 years in the industry, and fortunate enough to be able to lend nationwide and help clients across the country. And I've been doing this long enough to be in every aspect of this business. So I started out copying loan packages before there was the internet, before there were credit scores. What were those? We didn't even understand what those were. So now, you readjust through the market and come through this. And now I'm on the front end of this as a loan officer and helping my clients, find their dream homes, achieve what they want in their real estate investing.
That is great. Now, wait a second. You said there weren't credit scores at some point? There was not?
Some point there was no credit score.
When did these come in?
Probably around 1996.
I missed the whole thing. I had no idea.
Yep.
I thought that was always there.
No such thing. And when they introduced that, we all panicked. Oh no, what are we going to do with that? So we figured it out.
Except for me.
So everyone in the mortgage industry did figure it out. It happened. We adjusted like we have. And then you go through all the pitfalls, 2008 crash, and you just reimagine yourself and adjust to the industry. So that's afforded me 30 years in this business.
So you were in the crash?
I was in the crash.
How did that affect you?
It really did. I mean, like everyone else, it affected every mortgage person, every real estate person, every individual that was either looking to buy, sell, any aspect of that. We saw a lot of people fall out of the industry. The mortgage people dropped like flies. Real estate agents got out of the business. It's a huge adjustment if you're not prepared for it. So, being in it for so long, you kind of know it's coming every 8 or 10 years, and then you just wait to climb right back out of it, which I think we're kind of going through that again now with higher interest rates, low inventory. But now we're seeing a little bit of a turn. Everyone's kind of getting used to the new normal and how things are going. So
you mentioned high interest rates, but historically, we're kind of right at average, right?
We are pretty much at average. You can say, oh, wait, you remember the 80s when interest rates were 18%. But, in the new generations, they don't remember that. So all they remember is the 3% and the 4%. And
those are good percents. Those are nice percents.
3 and 4 percentage rates for your mortgage is excellent. So now that we're at 7, 8 sometimes, yeah, they're thinking that's really high.
When was the last time they were at 3 or any of that?
A couple years ago. During COVID.
Oh, really? During
COVID was a fantastic time for real estate and mortgages. Yeah, rates came down, and it afforded everyone. I have interest rates. I got them in 2.75%, so they're not going anywhere. So
why are they at 7 now? What is the reason they went to 7?
Just the market. It always shifts. It's always shifting. I think probably the administration had a little bit to do with that. Just the market. People decided during the pandemic they weren't selling. They decided to invest in their homes that they already had, and now they have the home they want, and prices went up because there's low inventory. Right. So sellers are thinking, well, I don't know, if I sell this, what am I going to buy? So now that's kind of put a little bit of a restraint on what's available for new people coming into the market.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. So Regan, you've kind of since joining ENO as a member, you've really plugged in and just checked out. You did Achieving Business and Life Success. You completed the 60-day game. I know you're excited to go check out Breakthrough, and so you've almost completed all 3 courses that we have here at ENO.
Yes.
For all the awareness training, personal development stuff that we do. So you had mentioned you experienced the 2008 crash. And we're kind of dealing with, I'm sure there's some similarities of what's going on right now in the market for everyone in your industry.
Yes.
Right. So there's probably some similarities in a way. Have you noticed anything different within yourself from like how you were reacting to the environment in 2008 versus now you've kind of done some work, you've gotten some awareness, you've done these courses. Have you seen a shift within yourself now in the situation that you're in with your current industry?
Yes, for sure. And speaking of what Jack was saying earlier, you've been doing this for 20 years, Jack. I'd have been doing this for 1 year, and I just kind of dove into it. But like you said, it's always, you get more out of it. So I had the opportunity to do Achieving Business and Life Success in 2 different platforms. I got the 8-week version, I got the weekend version, and I also got to staff twice. So like he was saying, you're always seeing something new. So as I'm going through this, now this is my 4th time through Achieving Business and Life Success. And every time there's kind of an aha moment, and it's teaching me how to relate to people differently. I can see their perspective, kind of where they fit in and how I need to relate to them. So that gives me the opportunity now that I didn't see before doing this training that, oh yeah, wait a minute. Now I understand why they're feeling this way. Now I understand where they're coming from, and I can adjust how I deal with these individuals now. So it is different. I do see me reacting differently, communicating differently for sure, on a more in-depth level where remembering these are individuals, right? They're not just numbers, where a lot of people in the industry are like, oh, I just need the deals to close. They're just numbers, but these are real people with real emotions. And this has afforded me a more effective way to deal with my clients.
Absolutely. And have you seen your clients noticing the difference within yourself?
I think so. Yes, because I have a lot of repeat clients over the years. So I do business with the same people I've been doing business with for several years. They'll come back for a new mortgage, a new house they want to buy. So I think they're noticing a little bit of a shift in me, like, oh, I am different. I am probably more receptive to what they're looking for. So again, every time I go through this, and yes, I am so excited to do Breakthrough. If I have that opportunity coming up in a couple of weeks, where I think that's really even going to help me further to do that. And like you were saying, Micah, in the masterminds, so in our collaborative mastermind groups, it does give us that connection. We all know where we're all coming from. So that also helps me in my networking to develop more business for myself, where I can understand how to communicate with the members in my mastermind group.
So Regan, as a networker, what have you noticed you just mentioned it, and I'm going to assert that maybe, right? I don't know, but maybe prior to the personal development, there may even for you been more of a tie to, I just got to get this deal done. And yes. What have you noticed for you as far as how you network now, and knowing that that they are people and that it's really about them and the timing for them?
Right. So yes, I always understood my clients were individuals really needed that personal touch. What I didn't know how to do was network. So I had never done it. I stepped into it. I walked into this group right when you were changing over to Empowerment Networking Organization. And I thought, well, I'm just diving in. Let's go see what this is all about. So I really learned how to maybe not be afraid to ask the questions now. Where before, I always wondered, how am I going to ask them for business? Or how am I going to connect with them to get business? Where now I know how to reframe that and kind of put it into a platform where I can I can communicate with the person, no matter who it is. How can we connect where I can help you, and then see how that comes back to help me. Yeah. So before, I was always thinking, I just need to find out how they're going to help me. How are they going to help me? And now looking at it from this perspective with the training I've had, now I can see, well, how can I help you in what you do? And that'll come back to me probably double.
Yeah. Yep. And sometimes it doesn't even come back from them.
Might not.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, it may come somewhere else, and you may never actually be able to tie that to that. However, if you believe in the law of attraction and energy and reciprocity, what we put out comes back somewhere else, right?
Yes.
Just like you get up in the morning and you stub your toe and you cuss and, have a pretty crappy day. Well, then when you get in your car to go to work, something else in that same vibration of stubbing your toe and the energy that you put out is going to come across your path. So same thing, in that piece. And have you noticed that that you're much more calm in that the time when it's right for them, that it'll come, right?
Correct. Yes, definitely. There's the anxiety kind of goes away. And even dealing with one-on-one with my clients, I've been able to back away and let them fully come to me and explain what they're looking for, instead of me trying to immediately figure out what the best thing is for them or put them in a position that I feel is right. Now I let them give me all of the information and let me process it. So it's going through the training. Yes, those kind of my aha moments. Oh, wait, I can change me. And now I know where other people are coming from. Now I can understand why they're coming from where they're coming from. And I don't have to judge anyone on that.
Yeah. Jack, any thoughts or questions for Regan?
Do.
Ta, 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 ta. That's the cricket sound now.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we go. We've never pushed that button yet, right?
I don't think we have.
Okay.
Look what I brought to the table.
No, that's me.
Well, it's that, or and sometimes I bring out a bad joke. I mean, I did share a really bad joke this weekend.
Bad.
I mean, it was
it
was one of the worst of all time.
It was
that one deserved crickets.
It was a disappointment joke.
It wasted a lot of people's time. I'll be honest, but hey, it happens.
Well, I would guess because we talked about level 1 and you're going to go through breakthrough. What was the main thing that you got out of the 60-day challenge? What were some of the main
60-day challenge, yes. Being held accountable, 60 days, every day. I'll set goals for myself all the time, and it's easy to fall off of that path. But when you have the 60 days every single day, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I got to keep a log of what's going on. I set these goals. I got to stick to it. And for me, it really helped me focus, I think. But I would say more so than that, I think the connections made with the other people in the game. I mean, you really get to a different level of understanding and knowing them. And we're still connected. I mean, we're still communicate weekly, I would say, and we keep in touch. And those connections, I think, are lifelong now.
Oh, yeah. You guys have a party coming up.
We do.
You're planning. And when I did that, the first time I did it, one of the things that I noticed at the end of it was the goals that I had set, especially the financial one, because that was pretty big. It was bigger. It was an amount of money I had never had before in my life at any given time. And I don't believe I would have had it at the end had it not been for the synergy of all the people. The accountability falls in and all that. More important than for that one, for me, more important than the coach and the accountability was the synergy that all those people sort of pulled together to help me find solutions to create that. So, I mean, like, it got creative. And people calling me and saying, okay, we know your goal is to acquire this much money in cash. by the time this is over. So right now I'm going to go do this over here for my goal, which is people are going to give me cash. I mean, one of the guy's goals in this to get out of it, he was a little bodybuilder guy, super shy. So one of his goals was to do a little male striptease for some girls. And there was a girl who worked at a news station. So she was like, all right, I will get my girls from the office to come downstairs. And they did it like in a little park area. You know, it was nothing perverted or anything. He just had a little bathing suit on. I mean, he first started with clothes and he pulled them off doing his little, you know, and the girls were like, hee. And he told me, he's like, I want to help you on your goal, so I'll give you all the tips. So, you know, and I was like, all right. He goes, you got to be there with me, though, in UMC. So I was like, hey, ladies, like, don't be pulling out those dollars. Pull out those 5s and 20s. He's worth it. And he does his little thing or whatever. And then he's like, okay, here's the tips. It's like $180. Put that towards your goal. And that happened multiple times. And then I threw a concert and a bunch of them bought tickets. And so then it was like, wow, I was like, man, this could never happen if it wasn't for all these other people. And I also was helping them any way I could on achieving what they were looking to do. And then I was like, oh, so this is why synergy in people together, it's better than isolation.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I spent most of my life, a large part of it was just in isolation, and I don't mean just totally alone. It might be her. I'm isolated with her, or isolated with just her and my son. But I wasn't out in the world. I wasn't in group. Matter of fact, for a long time, I didn't even want to be around groups because it seemed every time I went into a group, it just turned into a weirdness, you know. Gossiping and bad people doing weird things and all of that. So that really taught me that there's great value in having people in your life and surrounding yourself with people. And that was odd for me. Even my family, we knew none of our grandparents, none of our cousins, none of our uncles. We were all isolated as a little unit. So it was strange for me in the beginning. Even the Phoenix Metro Chamber in the beginning, I wasn't into that. You know, the lunch would get over. I wanted to bolt out, just bye. This was just like, whoa, what is all this? And then I'd watch other people, and it was so natural for them.
So, I remember some of those days.
Yeah.
I would turn around and go,
where's he?
Where'd Jack go?
Hey, I dated this multimillionaire in Vegas, and she took me to a party once. And she's like, you're super dynamic, you know, sitting, talking to you and all of that. We went to this party. We drove away, and she's like, you look like a deer in the headlights in there. And you always sort of just hung on the fringe and sort of looked at the party. So if somebody came to me, then I would talk to them. Other than that, I wasn't engaging in any conversations or anything like that. And that had been pretty steady in my life. Like, I mean, I had friends and things. Like, if we all went out, I just sort of hung with them. Where I had other friends that we all went out and they hung with us and also made other friends and walked around and talked to other people and all that. I just was not that person.
I was not that person either. I was always the wallflower. But now coming through this, I understand there's no fear to it.
Yeah, now I could do both. Now it's no, I don't care now.
Oh, your growth, Regan, has been absolutely, I'll say that it's been a blessing to be able to watch.
Thank you.
I remember those first couple of days, those first couple of mixers you popped in and, checking this out. And,
deer in the headlights.
Yeah, just really, really quiet and reserved. And then all of a sudden, like, boom, here's Regan. And you just show up differently. And you know what? I've watched our community really turn and look at you as a leader.
Yeah.
You've really shown up as a leader for a lot of members within ENO. They look up to you.
I hope so. I appreciate that. I really hope that I can make a difference for sure.
Oh, you do. And that's why I was telling you yesterday, because normally you will be the only person ever who has done the challenge without doing breakthrough.
Right.
You have to do breakthrough before it, or you have to do it during. Now, circumstances that were not on you at all, caused it to have to go that way if you were going to be in that challenge. And when Micah, I believe it was you, told me this is what do you think about this? My initial, without a thought, reaction was Megan is solid.
Regan
She's
is solid.
I mean, why do I call you Megan? Regan is...
I know who you're talking about.
I've been messing those two names up for my entire life. I got a couple of them. Craig and Greg.
Oh.
Craig and Greg are... I'm almost constantly Michelle and Melissa, and Megan Reagan has been the one all my life. So yeah, Reagan, I was like, Reagan is solid. There's not even a hesitation in my mind that she will go through that no problem and can do breakthrough afterwards. She has already shown who she is, and there's no problem with that.
Yeah, we're in trouble, Jack. You can never actually go to Reagan's collaborative mastermind.
Megan?
Because there is a Megan and a Reagan in that
that's
group.
not going to work.
You will be totally messed up.
We'll both answer.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, wait. Oh, no, you're not who I was wanting to talk to.
Yeah.
So, Reagan, your leadership really has shown up. And, you're now leading and facilitating one of our collaborative mastermind groups. And it was hands down for us that you lead that group. And soon you'll be the only facilitator at the moment that has actually gone through the entire curriculum to be leading a mastermind. So what's that been like, leading the mastermind?
It seemed natural for me. I mean, it just, walking in and guiding these people through the meeting and letting them know how it's going to go. Maybe that's the controller coming out of me. I don't know. I still lean towards the analyst. So I like to make sure everyone's included and give them that opportunity. But I also like to keep the meeting flowing as it needs to flow. So I really settled into that pretty easily, I think. And I really appreciate that position to be able to do that and kind of lead the group through. And I think now everyone in my mastermind has now done Achieving Business and Life Success, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the last
All of
one
them.
finished this weekend.
Yeah. John was your last one.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Well, and you even had one that was re-auditing that.
Yes.
Honestly, I had a great conversation with them, and it had been 10 years since they had, checked out the information before. And, we were talking about it in the weekend. Hey, great. If it's one thing to get the information. However, if you don't remember all of it, are you going to be able to utilize the tools?
Right.
So even for that individual, I'm sure that there were some things that came out for them. That will hopefully help them be more effective in what they're doing as well.
I think so. I saw the flip a little bit in her from Friday to Sunday for sure. So I think that'll really contribute.
She's moving as well. She came up to me at the end. She comes up to the end. She goes, "Okay, I'd like to go to level 2, and I already paid for it 12 years ago. Yet I got sick." And I'm going, okay. And I go, well, there's no way I can check that out. Like right now, if you said I paid last year, I can go into PayPal. The last 5 years, I can go in PayPal and just pull up your name and be like, okay, you did or you didn't. And I looked at her and I said, well, there's no way for me to check that out. So I'll just take your word for it. So that's great. No worries. You're in level 2. Let's get you registered. And then I just let her know. So if you want to do the challenge, just add this to it. And she's going to do both. So
good.
Awesome.
I was like, yeah, that's good stuff.
Yep. Awesome.
We've got about 6 minutes.
Reagan, what do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? I don't know what I want to talk about.
Where do you see yourself in your industry in the 2 years from now, 5 years from now?
2 years from now? Oh, I'm going to hang in there. It's just what I do. 30 years of mortgages, I'm sticking with it now. So I think the market's going to turn. We're going to come back around. And I think, just keep helping my clients as much as I can. Just, giving them as much information as I can and understanding what their needs are. But I think I'll be around in the mortgage business and just continuing my same line and see, it's just what I do. I mean, it's in my blood now, right? So, and there'd be some other opportunities that arise, other business opportunities that I can delve into also. But I think mortgages are kind of the mainstay for me. So.
Now, in some industries, people have like certain clients, or this is my perfect client, and I can deal with everyone, but this is my sweet spot. Or do you have anything like that, or is it just no? You just want a mortgage. Here I am, and
well, I'm here for everybody. It doesn't matter how small of a loan, or if you want millions of dollars, we can help you. I kind of fell into the retirement community. I have a lot of clients, repeat clients in kind of the retirement age where they're looking to retire. And I think being in Arizona, it's a snowbird state, right? So they're all coming in buying second homes. So that was a good kind of place where we were at. And, they're just, they have all their stuff in line. They lived their 30 years in their job. They're retired. They did all the steps that everyone does in that generation. So it's kind of, I fell into that, and I have a lot of realtors that deal with them too. So, but again, anyone, I'm here to help whoever needs my help with a mortgage. And then being from Arizona, I'm born and raised here. So now I'm back home, and now to build my footprint here is what I'm really looking to do. So.
And I'm sure you would anywhere. You can do this anywhere, right?
All 50 states, anywhere. Yeah. In fact, a lot of my clients are across the country right now. South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, New York, California, Hawaii. So, yeah. And it's having lived in California and Hawaii, I still have a good base of clients from there, realtors from there to pull from. But yeah, anywhere in the country, I'm here to help. But here I would love to have that connection, bigger footprint here in the Valley now that I'm back here after a couple years.
Excellent.
Awesome.
One last thing that it's just a burning question on my end, because, this topic has been scrutinized for a lot of years, and, probably maybe the methodology wasn't as robust as it is now. But I mean, do you like to dabble in reverse mortgages, being part of that retirement community? Do you do a lot of that?
Reverse mortgages are there, but the clientele I have are not in the position for a reverse mortgage, usually. I have done them, and they are out there. It's kind of finding the right fit. A lot of people think reverse, as soon as you turn 62, let's get a reverse mortgage. It really doesn't work like that. You really need a little older, a lot of equity in your property, or a lot of cash down payment. So it really needs to be the perfect fit for someone that's going to get a reverse mortgage. So my clientele really don't fall into that very often. But yes, they are available, reverse mortgages.
Okay. And, the reason why I ask is, again, they were kind of scrutinized years ago. Have they really evolved into a better situation for clients?
They are better. They have come a long way since maybe 20 years ago. Still, people do scrutinize them. It could be higher cost to get the reverse mortgage. It just really needs to have a tangible benefit for that specific client to put them into that. So there's a lot of calculations that go into it. If it's not beneficial, it's just, you don't do it. You just don't do it.
All the more reason to be working with, specific individuals that specialize in this and not calling 1-800 numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get someone that'll talk you into it and give you that mortgage, and it might put you in a situation you can't get out of.
Yeah.
You really want a trusted mortgage person for sure.
Yeah, you call that 1-800 number and you get a salesman.
Yes.
Right? And
that's it, salesman. And you might get thrown through the system and talk to 12 different people, and you never know what's going on. So,
awesome.
So Regan, tell our guests how they can get in touch with you.
They can definitely call me at 480-287-1261. And you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Apply with Regan, and of course LinkedIn. Or if you just want to email me, it's just rsimpson@getevolved.com.
Awesome.
GetEvolved.com.
So for our guests out there, thank you for joining us today. We will be back next week with another ENO Business Success Podcast. And today is a wrap.
We are a wrap, and let's thank Regan. We'll be back next week.